What's up, everybody, and welcome to Attractions Cast, whatever we're calling this. It's episode 1. Everything's unknown. Who knows what's going to happen? Today, we have some very special guests. I can talk, I swear. I am joined, first off, by Mr. Pete Carney. Say hi, Pete.
Hi, Pete. Well, hello, everyone.
So Pete not only runs his own YouTube channel called Adventures by Carney, but he also is part of the WDWNT crew and does his own live stream. You have your own show.
Yeah, we were scrambling for shows during this whole quarantine madness, so I did one. Someone said, hey, you should do Party with Pete. I did it once, and then they said, can you do another one? Now they want to keep it around, so it's every week, but we haven't picked a day yet. But right now it's been every Thursday.
That's cool. It's awesome. I think it's fantastic. You wear some very very, very brightly colored Mickey attire, and it's wonderful.
Yes.
Our other guest today, you guys know him from his YouTube channel, World of Micah, but he's also on Instagram and Twitter, and he's been around for ever, a long time. It's Mr. Micah. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I should have put Mr. Micah on your name tag.
Mr.
there.
Micah, Esquire.
Yeah, or just the vlogger formerly known as Micah. Whatever we're going to do there. So explain for those people who have no clue what it is you do, what you do.
Basically, I go anywhere with a camera and film something that interests me and put it out into the world and the universe and hope that other people like that subject.
And it's anything, right? It's anything.
Honestly, I've done everything from hidden things at Walt Disney World to the filming locations of movies to where Elvis grew up. I'm into all kinds of different things. And growing up, I was always into those TV shows on Travel Channel and such, things like that. So when those guys would pack up their vehicles and go and venture out into the world and film these weird and wacky episodes about things, that always intrigued me. And when I moved to Florida, it was just the world was my oyster. Some key players, some friends of mine who were doing the same thing just kept pushing me to do it. And I finally just picked up my phone one day and went and filmed myself eating a Whopper at Burger King. And the rest is history.
That's
wow.
All right. It all started with a Whopper.
It was the Angry Whopper that they did for Halloween that time.
Oh, nice. So, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you've now had a pretty great career at this. And this is nearly full time for you. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Now it's full time. The last 2 years, it's really turned into something that I do more often. When I first started a couple of years ago, I really was only doing it once a week and stuff, or when I could. And I've been doing daily now for 35 days, I think.
Nice.
So it's something different, but I think I'm going to continue to do it.
That's awesome. Our connection is a little bit in and out right now with your full screen feed here. So let's get everybody into the room here, and we'll get chatting about some attractions stuff. Cool. So, what's up, everybody? There we all are. Look at that. Oh, fancy schmancy, huh? So, today, we're trying to figure out what we should talk about. We're all kind of quarantined and going nuts, sitting in our houses, not being able to go anywhere, not being able to see anybody, not being able to do anything, except for basically walk to the fridge, back to the couch, walk to the fridge, back to the couch. So, it is April, 20th, the day of recording this. So, I figured we should talk about Halloween. We're about halfway to Halloween. Let's talk about Halloween. Specifically, maybe give some Horror Nights thoughts, what we think might happen, what we think if it's even going to happen. Who knows this year? Because, if restrictions get lifted in the next couple of months, are they really going to allow 30,000 people to squeeze in a conga line going through a tiny little hallway in a Halloween attraction? Who knows? Maybe we're all going to have to wear masks. I have no idea what's going to happen this year, but I know that's where Micah, you and I first met, was at Halloween Horror Nights. Pete, that's where you and I met Micah. We were all there together.
That's also where you and I first met as well.
That night was the first night you and I met as well. That's funny. I totally forgotten about that. And that was in line. Funny story about that is I was just there to vlog, and I started chatting with somebody about, was it just random Disney facts or something? And
I couldn't stand it anymore. Whenever you were talking to somebody who did like knew kind of Disney facts, but all the actual details were off, and I heard you like trying to correct, and I was standing in line like by myself, and at one point I just was broke, and I was like, well, actually,
and from then on out,
we just started chatting it up because we knew we had like another 45 minutes before they opened the gates that night.
It was brutal. It was standing outside those gates in the hot sun. It was awful. On what was that, September 6th? I think is what that was. It was bad. It was super terrible. That, and you didn't realize this, Pete, but the guy next to me and just behind you like threw up everywhere about an hour before opening.
That's disgusting. Another positive that came from that night, well, that was when I bought my annual pass. So I was bummed I was going to buy a new one right before Horror Nights. And then if there's a silver lining to this whole COVID-19 thing, it's they're extending it that amount of days. So I might be able to get all of Horror Nights, and then I really don't have to like renew my annual pass for like a few more months again. Like I could take like the winter off.
That's true, actually. So I wonder, are they gonna? So if they extend the Universal Studios annual passes through Horror Nights because it's closed for that amount of time, you're not gonna get another Horror Nights ticket, right? Because if you renewed your pass to the top pass, you would get another Horror Nights ticket. But if it's good through Horror Nights, you're not going to renew, which then means you're not going to get a Horror Nights ticket. Are they going to be super cool and be like, "Hey, we're getting you through, and we're going to give you a Horror Nights ticket"?
I don't know.
Might
or
be
maybe
an
like
incentive. It might be something.
I was gonna say, or discount them. Like instead of giving you another one, being like annual pass holders get 50% off the first 2 passes, then 25% off the 2 after that, or something like that.
Sure, something like that.
Like with Universal and stuff, I think like they're really just they're so good to their pass holders and stuff, and I feel like when all this is said and done, they're really gonna want them to come back, and they know that they're gonna be the first ones. Like we're gonna be the first ones in the parks.
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest. Like when they open it up, it's gonna be locals, pass holders, stuff like that. So I think there're gonna be a lot of like there could be like a lot of incentives like that with Horror Nights. That'd be a smart thing to do.
True. It'll just be the 3 of us drinking in the Irish pub.
Dude, I'm the only one. Like I've stood in line once to get into the gates. I always try and do the stay and scream. Like I always try to get to the parks a little early, do that stay and scream thing.
Yeah.
Or I do the opposite. I wait like an hour or 2 after the event's open. Everyone's already in lines, and I go in and I look at the board and see, okay, which one has the least amount, and do it that way.
Sure.
It's like.
Now, last year was my first Horror Nights here in Florida, because originally I'm from LA. I just moved to Florida 9 months ago, that kind of a thing. So I've been going to Horror Nights in LA for a long time. And the rule there is always you get in right away and you go down to the lower lot as far back into the park as you possibly can, and then work your way forward. And generally your waits are going to be not too bad. That's kind of what Pete and I did. This last year, we went directly back to House of a Thousand Corpses, if I remember correct.
Yeah.
And we went on. We walked through 4 mazes, I think, with
I think
almost no wait.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a planning nut, so the first year I went was 2 years ago. And again, that time was I met up with friends there, but I went kind of by myself, and I told them, hey, I've read all these, like, how to do Horror Nights. I watched like the YouTube videos, what to do for Horror Nights. I'm like, we have to like book it down this road. I have the map. We got to go all the way here. And they were like, all right, we'll meet you there. They didn't meet me, but I was like, I'm going. And it was that one night I was there because I was still visiting from New York before I moved here. And literally like kind of like how me and you, like we went because we were like kind of like taking our time filming. I think I got like 6 done in the first hour and a half, and then my friends met me. And even like the night with me and you, like with you videotaping and us like, taking random vlogs and Snapchats, we still got 4 done like pretty quickly before we met up with my other group of people I knew.
Yeah, it was really fun. That was we met up with them right when we met you, Micah. So I'm pointing to my screen as if you're like right here because my camera's over here, but my screen's over here. So I'm kind of like doing this chameleon
it's almost like
thing.
a little Brady Bunch thing. Like
it is. I should have added a few more squares to this layout and just exactly. High five. Wait, it's this way. High five. I can't figure it out. For anybody listening via the audio portion of this podcast is going, what are you talking about?
another thing I was thinking about, Josh, To go back to what you were saying about doing horror nights in LA, I've also done horror nights in Universal Hollywood, and the one thing I always applaud them for is the pulsating with the line.
Sure.
Like, they will let your family go and then give it like 20 seconds and then they let someone else go. Yeah. And so you're always guaranteed to get that good scare. And it's not like you're in that conga line thing.
I have been at Hollywood when they have done the conga line stuff. So the worst I've ever seen it at Hollywood in particular was the first year, I think it was Insidious, the first year they did the Insidious maze. And it literally didn't stop. It was just like an open queue, just into the house, because it was the house was, and it just went. I think it was opening night. I've usually gone to opening night because I'm usually filming for some form of media. I actually have, as a side note, I have a whole bunch of archive HHN video content that we're going to be posting on Attractions Tube from Hollywood. Some like full maze flow-throughs and stuff. Because like when we started filming for YouTube, this was for an old show we had called Theme Park Talk. And so there weren't many video theme park based anythings online at all. We were one of the first kind of little groups of them, and so the parks hadn't really stopped us from doing anything yet because they didn't realize how bad we were gonna get. And so we were there with giant camcorders and full on news lights running through mazes and doing everything, and they were fine with it. They just let us do it. So I've got all this footage of like the Terror Tram from 8 years ago, like just fully lit, full walkthroughs.
I got yelled at on the Terror Tram.
Did you?
Because they let us off, and we were at the Bates Motel, and these characters were trying to scare me and stuff, and I'm like, stop, Abby, take my picture, because I'm standing right in front of Cabin 1, like from the movie. I'm like standing there, and I'm like, take my picture. And these team members are sitting there flashing their lights at me with their flashlights. They're like, no pictures, no pictures. I'm like, I'm outside. What are you talking about?
Well, now
I'm at the Bates Motel, dude.
Now they've gotten really, really, really strict with it. I remember I had a GoPro in like an all blacked out housing at my like waist, walking through the Walking Dead maze probably 5 years ago, and some cast member just like the shadow with, you know, Alec Baldwin just comes out of the wall at me and is like, turn off the camera. I'm like, there's no light on this. It's black, like black on black on black. It's at my weight. How did you even see this? Like, they're crazy about it now.
We went 2 years ago and I filmed everything. They were really cool about me filming every single house.
Lucky.
Every single maze. Like, I had my camera, like, I was out, dude, like filming in their faces.
That's awesome.
But then when we went to the Psycho house, it was like, they lost their mind. But then, you walk up the hill and you get to meet Norman Bates in front of the actual Bates Motel or the house, which is insane. But I felt bad for the characters because I was just like, yeah, go away, dude. I'm trying to get a picture.
That's funny. So, Pete, have you ever done Hollywood?
No, but I really want to. So if you want to go this year.
The food is so good.
Dude, yeah. So one of the years I went, we did the RIP experience at Hollywood, and if they stopped doing it for a little bit, and I think last year or the year before they brought it back, and it's like $300 a person, but it is so good. Like the way we got in for that was, I think we got our time for dinner was like 7:00. And so from like 7 to whatever it was, 7:30, 7:45, something like that, you had dinner, and you also had 2 drink tickets for alcoholic beverages, so we got both of those. Then we went out to the park. They gave us a private tram, private experience, all this sort of stuff. But the food was still open. You have access to the food all night long. And it is amazing. You just go in and out and eat as much as you want. It's unlimited drinks, not alcoholic beverages, but like any other type of soda, water, that kind of thing. And then at 11:00, it changes to dessert. And so you get to go back and do it all again. And Hollywood's food wasn't like anything it was like lobster mac and cheese and a bunch of stuff. It was good stuff. It was clearly like, okay, these are the set caterers. These are the people making, you know, food for Tom Cruise, and they're making food for Horror Nights. It was really good. Really good.
We just bought Express. Like I told Abby, I was like, look, we're going to be here for one day, one night. We'll be here all day doing the park stuff, because really when I go to Universal Hollywood, all I do is the backlot tour. Because everything else we pretty much have here in Florida. I will do their Mummy. because it is different. But we do the backlot tour a lot, and I just like to walk around and just look at the set pieces and things they have on location there. But yeah, we did the same thing you said. We went straight down to the bottom. We didn't even really use our express until it got crazy that night. It was totally worth it though. Like the food, the character stuff, like it's a beast down there because it's 2 different levels. It's
well, and now,
animal.
if you went 2 years ago, then you got to experience. A few years ago, they opened up the lower lot, the New York area, and built Horror Nights down there on the actual back lot. And that's super new. They haven't been doing that recently, or they didn't do that before, and they just started a couple years ago. But now it's funny. They used to tram you over there. The first time they did it, you would take like this walk down to this area, and you get on a secondary tram than the other tram, and they've like taken a couple of the normal trams and moved them over here, and then you take that tram to this back lot and get off, and now you have to walk through that giant like disco tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel. They have characters in that tunnel.
They do. Well, because it's huge. It's a good mile and a half at least.
But it's so weird because you're walking on a movie set.
You are. No, you're literally walking through the studio. Like I think that's
cool.
Costuming or some form of like administrative costuming type building that you're walking through that tunnel to get under. I think Universal over the last 5 or 6 years has upped their game tremendously. It's been like a hockey stick curve of just getting much, much better. Now, that brings me to this question, Mr. Micah.
Mm-hmm.
Florida or Hollywood, which is better?
Okay, so obviously Florida, let me just say this. Florida to me is home as far as Halloween Horror Nights goes. When I was in Hollywood, like it felt like Halloween Horror Nights, but it didn't feel like the Halloween Horror Nights that I know. It felt like a different variation of it. For some strange reason, when I was there in Hollywood, I was just more focused on like different things. Like I'm going to actually get to go to the back lot and walk around because they let you walk around in certain areas. The Psycho House was a big hit for me. But things like their Poltergeist house was so good. Like as far as being true to the movie, it was so like it looked like you were in an actual film. Whereas the one in Florida was mostly big puppets, things like that, Their Stranger Things to me was not the best. A lot of static figures, whereas Florida's blew me away with their effects. So it's like, I don't know, I could see myself if I lived out there not going to Horror Nights probably as much as I do here in Florida, only because of just the amount of different levels. And when you go to like Florida, you can their scare zones are kind of like the hangout places. There's not really like hangout places there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's true.
Their scare zones are walkthroughs. You have to keep walking through them. Whereas our scare zones, you can go and hang out on the Hollywood Boulevard area next to Mel's and just watch people get scared all night. And that's fun for me.
Totally. Or like hang out in Simpsons when they've got the chainsaw clowns over there and just watch them.
I usually find like a scare zone every year and I'm like, that's where I'm going to go hang out, drink my pumpkin beer, have a snack or two, and I'll go and stand in line for a good, house or two that I like. And I didn't feel like there was that kind of thing in Hollywood. And I didn't really feel like a sense of community, whereas Horror Nights here, it feels like we're all at summer camp together here for some reason. It's like the Halloween summer camp. You meet
true,
people,
actually.
like I met you guys.
Yeah.
You meet people there and you start seeing people who go all the time. And you meet people in line, and there's definitely a sense of community here in Florida.
Yeah, I would agree. So, Pete, what are your thoughts? You've never been to Hollywood, so what are like? Why do you like Horror Nights so much in Florida here?
All right, so I should say that I had never been to Universal ever in my life. And my first time being in Universal Park was a Horror Nights. Oh. So. It set the bar very high, like because for a lot of reasons, like so I never went as a kid, I never went as an adult, and then like I said 2 years ago when I was still in New York and I was just flying down like every other month because they had a really cheap airport on Long Island. We would just come down and we would like do Disney or something on the weekends, and then I came down with a buddy of mine. We were watching like hanging out and watching football for a day, going to Disney for a day to drink around the world for food and wine, and then we would do Horror Nights, and I was like, oh, I've never been to Universal. We bought it for the night, and again, being like a Disney guy, I was like, oh, it'll be Universal. It'll be like this like second-rate park kind of thing, and it blew my mind. Like I loved that night so much. It was like my favorite night ever. Like even like when I went back again, like nothing will be as good as that night because it was just like it blew all my expectations away.
Sure.
The scare zones were fun. It was super cool to see the scale of it all. So so then that was the only time I went that year. Then last year I moved down here in August, bought my annual pass the first night of Horror Nights, and went from there this year. And I went a bunch this year.
Yeah, and so the time that when we went to Universal during the day a few months ago before the world ended, was that your? I want to say that was your your first time at Universal, not Horror Nights.
Yeah, I would say times I've gone to Universal that has not been a horror night would be 3 or 4 times ever. A non-horror night Universal trip. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's fun though because I'm still discovering things, which is cool. The problem is Universal. I didn't watch movies as a kid, so I lost a huge chunk of my life. So like people are like, oh, you want to go like on Transformers? I'm like, I've never seen the movie, but sure. They're like, you want to go on Mummy? I'll go on it, but I've never saw the Mummy. Do you want to do The Simpsons? I never was allowed to watch The Simpsons, so like, don't know that. Like, so like, you name it in that park, like, I probably haven't seen that movie. It's just cool because I'm from New York City, like walking around that looks like the city. I'm like, that's cool. Like people like Harry Potter. I'm like, never saw Harry Potter. So I can appreciate.
I like Micah's face. It's just like
going. Yeah.
I kind of wish I was like. I like meeting people like that though. Like, Pete. Like, it's cool to meet someone who's so new to films and everything because I was introduced to like Back to the Future and E.T. and things like that when I was so young, like 5 years old, you know, and because my parents were just movie people. We always had, I mean, as far back as I can remember, I had a TV in my room and I had HBO. Oh. My parents were just very trustworthy with me. Yeah. And I would just, I mean, I was, you know, can I watch this movie? Terminator's on TV. You can watch it. It's made for TV. I was like 6 years old. You know what I mean? Like that was how we were in our family because we're very open, you know, with things. And my parents knew I wasn't watching like crap. I was mostly watching Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. But then when a movie would come on and, you know, I found someone like Chris Farley, you know, I was like, this guy's funny. And my mom was like, well, he's not really understanding what they're talking about. He just thinks he's silly. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that. Yeah. But when I went to like Universal, I remember like going in and seeing like, oh my gosh, they have a Back to the Future ride, you know? And so it's cool to meet people who have never seen those things because it's like, wow, you're at such a different like time in your life where you like, I don't know. It's kind of
it is weird because like I mean I appreciate because when I go back I want to watch. It's not like I just like I'm gonna be like I'm never gonna see that just so I can say I never saw it. Like I like going back and watching movies, but like it's weird because like especially like so I just started watching Star Wars movies, so I'm like 1.5 in. But like I have to remember like this was made before I was even a thought on the planet. Like that is crazy. Like so like I'm putting that in mind. I can appreciate that. And still, like some movies still move me, and like you know, like we just watched what's the Red Rum movie with Nicholson?
The Shining.
Oh, The Shining.
The Shining. Yeah. We just saw that for the first time. Yeah. Josh's face. I'm sorry. Yeah, we just saw that for the first time like this December, and I was like, we watched it. We turned all the lights off in the house, and my girlfriend never saw it either. So like, it was like to scare me now with a movie that's so old. I feel like is really cool.
It's funny.
So, yeah, I'm getting to do that stuff with my wife too. She's never really seen a lot of these films. You know, so like I remember showing her Ed Wood with Johnny Depp, movie. The story of Edward D. Wood Jr., one of my favorite directors of all time because he was just so good but bad. And for those of you listening, don't look up some Ed Wood stuff. It's cool stuff. But there's a movie that Tim Burton did called Ed Wood with Johnny Depp, and it was just so cool like showing it to her because she fell in love with it, and so now it's like one of our films together. She had never seen the original Halloween. She had never seen the original Psycho. Like she never seen these things, so it was so nice to revisit those with someone who has never seen it before. Yeah. Especially when they're, you know, in their late 20s, early 30s. that's a different time in your life, and it's almost just like you get to become a kid again.
Sure.
And you get that kind of, in a sense, that we're going to the movies, and anything is possible in the movies. And I think that's why a lot of people also like horror nights. Getting back on that subject, like when I went into the Halloween house, Halloween is my all-time favorite horror movie. John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween forever will be my favorite horror movie. Halloween 1, 2, and 3.
May I ask why? Like, just curious what makes it your favorite? Because it's very subjective. It's very objective, I should say.
When I was a kid, I remember one Halloween specifically. They had the original John Carpenter's Halloween, and then the 1982 Halloween 2, which is basically like it picks up the same night. And they played them on, I believe it was TNT. And I think it was Joe Bob Briggs, who was a horror host back in the day. So anyways, they showed those movies back to back, and they played them at like 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and we weren't going trick-or-treating until like 7:30 that night. So I was excited because these two films came on TV, and my mom was like, yeah, you can watch them, like they're on TV. So I sat in the living room, and I just remember sitting there in my costume. And that year I can't remember who I was for Halloween that year. It was something kind of scary, I think, but not really. But I remember sitting there in my costume with my pumpkin bucket, and I was eating some of our candy for trick-or-treaters, and it was dark time, like the sun was setting. It was just like the perfect mood in there, and that movie like encompasses everything, all the feels of Halloween. You see the leaves falling, you see trick-or-treating, you see people getting scared, playing tricks on each other, but then there's also the babysitter murders that happened that night. But there's just this overall feeling that John Carpenter really captures in the film. And then I remember going trick-or-treating that night, and I was really scared. I was looking around like, there could be Michael Myers lurking in my neighborhood.
It's really good. Pete, you should come over. We should watch it. I pulled this out just because this is sitting behind my desk.
Dude, there you go. That's amazing. I love that.
My cousin ran a screening, and he lives in Bowling Green.
Okay.
And so he knows the Mr. Carpenter. He runs into him every once in a while, and so they did some screenings and stuff of Halloween. And anyway, long story short.
So yeah, when I went to Halloween Horror Nights and I went and did the Halloween house, it was just like walking in. It was kind of like I'm getting to go inside that film, And same thing with Ghostbusters. Like as a kid, I always wanted to be a Ghostbuster. And going into the Ghostbusters house this past year, I was like, this is just like going into the film. Like it was almost like I wouldn't even worry about getting a jump scare. I was too worried about looking at all the details because there were a lot of good ones.
There were in that house this year. There was a lot of them. Now, did you do the Halloween house in Hollywood as well?
I did. It was Halloween 4 the year we went, and I'm a fan of Halloween 4. I don't like 5 and I don't like 6 for reasons, but Halloween 4 to me was the first time Michael Myers was back on screen. It was the return of Donald Pleasance and Michael Myers together because, Halloween 3, they didn't have him or anything like that. So there's...
all I've got going through my head right now is Silver Shamrock. That's all I have in my head right now.
I have that tattoo.
Do you really? You have a Silver Shamrock tattoo? That's fantastic.
It's all 3 masks and the TV and trick-or-treaters, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that house blew me away. Ours in Florida was okay. It was mediocre at best. The one in LA, it was so true to the film. They lined up a lot of pivotal scenes in the movie that you blinked and you were like, is this the leftover set? It was so good. And I actually watched an interview, and they took the director on a tour with the HHN coordinator out there.
Oh, John Murdy?
And yes. And the director said that same thing. He was like, this looks like our set.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of the magic of Horror Nights for me, too. I'm a movie freak, and I like filming location stuff. So when you get to go to like a recreation of a film, it's kind of like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say that before when you were talking about like just being around like sets and being on lots. I was the same way when I went to Hollywood both times. Like I made sure I always booked a tour. Like I went to the Warner Brothers lot. Like it is really cool and filming locations like my girlfriend and I, we did all the filming locations of The Office in Scranton, but we never did LA. So when we were there, we went to complete all the filming locations. Like, so all that stuff is super cool and exciting for us. So I'll totally be on board for that. I know Josh was like, "Oh, no big deal. Just this couch is actually."
Oh no! I'm a total nerd. So here's a quick story. So through some connections, I know some of the heads of security at Universal, and we were doing some film work over there for some project the next day. So we had a team of people come down from Northern California, and we were like, well, let's show them around. Let's show them a good time. So we went to Universal after closing, went to the security guys, went into the back, the main office there in City Walk. So we went to the behind City Walk, jumped in vans, and just started driving around the back lot. And they were like, where do you want to go? And so we went over and we walked through the Chicken Ranch. We went over to the Bates Motel. We went over and took pictures. We did whatever. At one point, we went down to Little Europe, and they were filming. So we had to stop and reverse our way back out because they had blocked all the ways in. Yeah, no, I'm still a total nerd for that stuff. Anytime I'm over by like the Bates Motel, I lose my mind because Psycho is my favorite movie of all time, hands down. Period, will never be beat. So yeah, just that little section.
I can understand that, man. That was the first horror movie I ever saw as a kid.
Really?
My grandmother showed me. Yeah, well, my grandmother was a big murder mystery fan. She reads still to this day. She's 79 years old. She reads murder mystery books all the time. Yeah, she loves Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock.
Dude, yeah. My grandmother is funny. She was this like nice little super Christian woman, but if you look at her movie collection, it was like Silence of the Lambs and like all this other stuff. I'm like, something's not connecting here. That's strange. Okay.
I remember sending her a link to Netflix, and I said, you should check out Stranger Things. And she texted me a few days later, and she was like, I'm up to episode 5. It's really good.
Just sitting there binging Stranger Things.
She's just watching Stranger Things. Like, she was like, I love this.
That's incredible. Okay, so let's get into some thoughts potentially for maybe what might happen this year at Horror Nights. There's so much more Halloween stuff we could get into, and I know we could talk about it for probably the next 2 hours, but we're not going to. I'll cut to my camera just so people can see. I'm a Halloween nerd. I mean, I've got a casket case here. That's that right there. How do I point to it? That right there. That's a little documentary we made. It's on Amazon. I'm not going to tout it too hard, but I am wearing the t-shirt. And just monster mags and all kinds of stuff all over our walls. So Halloween is kind of like our thing. Like our apartment is filled with permanent Halloween decorations. We have pumpkins out year round. We're weird Halloween nuts. So we could talk about it forever. But let's specifically jump into Horror Nights because this is attractions cast or attractions cast by attractions tube, whatever it's going to be called. Like I said, episode 1, who knows? No rules. It's a bit like the designers when they made Fast and Furious at Universal. No rules, do what you want. Who cares?
Or do nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares about story? Let's just have a party on a tram. I don't know what this is. I take that right. Anyway.
We bought these trams from Disney, and damn it, we're going to use them.
Exactly. It's a party. No, now, the one thing that bugs me about that ride is it's like you're in San Francisco, and then you're in LA, and anyway, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, how did we go into a warehouse in San Francisco, and we exited the warehouse in LA, and then we leave back through a warehouse in San Francisco? I don't get it. Anyway, I digress. So, Halloween Horror Nights 2020. Now, this is, if it happens, we'll see. Current situation in the world. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows when the parks are going to reopen? Who knows when all this is going to actually be back to a semi-normal situation? But supposing
on April 2nd, they did officially comment that they had not planned or have not made any scheduling changes at this point. The currently the event is still scheduled to happen as originally planned. So that was as of April 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the thing you got to remember about like Horror Nights here in Florida. The houses that they have in the back area, like behind Men in Black area and Simpsons and all that stuff, where they usually put most of the originals. You guys know where I'm talking about. And there's like that parade building. Those things are already built, and so it's like they're not really having to build something up from the ground up. So I feel like that's kind of a head start. Whereas like in Hollywood, a lot of their stuff they have to build, especially the ones on the back lot, they're having to build those from the ground up. Our sound stages here are completely empty in use. So I feel like Florida kind of has the upper hand on that. But I think that would be like, you know, the biggest thing that Universal could come back from all this stuff happening and being like, hey, here's something familiar, come on in. It might be different, you know, they might be doing different things when we go in, like pulsating families and things like that, but I don't think it's going to be like one of those things where they don't let so many people in or anything. But I think
it's also easy for them if they have to do that on the fly, because it's a special ticketed event. They could just sell less tickets and they could space you out further apart, so the lines aren't, you know, astronomical.
So
you know, like
social distancing at Halloween Horror Nights
is like they would probably give it more time so you can't catch the group in front of you, but they'd probably sell a few less tickets so you wouldn't like have a ruined experience.
And also, how many families do you really think are going to be traveling like when things open back up? I think a lot of families are
going to be a lot.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Doing a lot of stuff in school. And
I think
we're going to be waiting for. I know a lot of people who are waiting for that vaccine before they come down here. Like it's.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a bit, I think, like 9/11
the
was.
Locals will save it this year.
Travels
the locals and us pass holders will definitely be the saving grace, and I think that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
I did want to do a YouTube sketch though of like opening night of Horror Nights, and the scare actors are all wearing masks, and so are we. So like you don't see any makeup.
Everyone looks exactly the same.
Mask. Like they're all wearing gloves. We're wearing gloves. It's just a show. I'm sorry. Whoa, I don't know if I can say that. It was just, so yeah.
That's hilarious. That would be amazing.
Hey, now, dude, that's a real reaction. So that's cool.
Okay, so we'll say it's happening. So 30th anniversary is this year. So they've got to do something big. I know I was a little shocked that Ghostbusters happened last year when it was like, wait a minute, this is year 29. What do you have that's like, for a long time, Ghostbusters was like the franchise. I want to say if you crunch the numbers, it was a more profitable franchise than Star Wars was for a brief period. I want to say that there was some weird where it was the number one franchise on the planet for a short amount of time, or a particular amount of time, particularly when there was the cartoon and then there was the movies and there's toys and all this stuff. So I was a little shocked that was at 29 and they didn't save that for 30. So what do you guys think they could top Ghostbusters with at the 30th anniversary of Horror Nights? Like, what IP?
There's so many like speculation maps that, you know, circulate.
I saw one and I was like,
I have some rumors that I'm reading now.
There's a couple that I've seen.
I'm wearing this guy, and he's on the rumor list.
He is on the rumor list. Beetlejuice would be interesting. For those listening, he's wearing a Beetlejuice t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. Just that.
But, you know, like, you got to think, too, like, this past year, like, will we see another Stranger Things? I don't think we will.
I don't think so.
Well,
you know, but then again, we all were like, no more Walking Dead. Let's not have another Walking Dead, man. And that's been like
true.
For so long. It's just been year after year after year. So,
you know, I pay attention to a lot of the stuff in the parks too. Like, within the last couple of years, they started putting stuff like Gremlins and Ghostbusters and those kind of franchises in that Film Vault store.
Yeah,
especially the Universal Monsters getting a whole lot of stuff, you know, which I've always said since I've been going to Horror Nights. I started going to Horror Nights in 2015, and we moved here in 2014, and we called the 2015 Horror Nights as our first one. And going to it since then, I've always told my wife and friends and stuff, I'm like, Universal is the original monster company. Like, they invented the modern monster we know with film way back in the day, and the Karloff and, you know, the original monsters. Why not do something, you know, with that? And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, they did back in the day and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you know, back in the day, we didn't have cameras. Back in the day, you didn't have people YouTubing it. These franchises and stuff, and I think Horror Nights has really taken off since people started doing YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And Twitter and Instagram, because, I mean, I'll go and look online, and I'm like, they had a Psycho house? And there's no footage of it anywhere. Yeah. You might see a clip of it in a commercial.
That's a good point, yeah.
You know, so, I don't know. The 30th, man, it's, in my mind, I think the sky's the limit.
I mean, you would hope, right? You would hope that they would have saved something. I definitely think Beetlejuice is a big possibility. We just had the Broadway show that just closed, and that's been getting insane reviews.
It's also a bigger franchise now than when it was when it kind of first came out.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it in the last like 4 years or 5 years or so, like you can go on Etsy and just type in the word Beetlejuice and you'll see like, I mean, it's insane
so much
how
stuff,
crazy big it is.
I would not be shocked if the rumored Beetlejuice 2 actually happens in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Winona Ryder slipping at that time on TV. You could totally tell she was like, whoops.
Yeah, it's like Don Cheadle when during his Avengers interview, like, you should see everybody dies in the next one. And everyone's like, shut up.
Yeah. I remember she was like, oh yeah, I talked to Tim the other day. We're doing it. Wait, but I'm not supposed to say that? It was like, oh, she talked to Tim. Like, it's happening.
Yeah.
You know, then 2 years later, nothing happens. But,
well, just get Tim Burton away from Disney.
I'm excited to see some of the original ones, man. Like, you know, are they going to bring back some of the icons? Like, are they going to bring some...
I really hope they do an icon house that's every single icon. That somehow you just smush them all in. That one speculation map that came out, there was a couple things on it that I really, really liked. There was a Cary, Ohio house, which I thought was fantastic. I thought that was a really good idea. There was...
the anniversary house in Cary, Ohio.
Yeah, which I think a house that takes place in Cary, Ohio, since that's the town that all of these things supposedly happen in, I think would be fantastic. Just kind of a little nod to that. And then doing something with, I don't know, what was the original name? Pete, you have it up. It's like Fright House, Dungeon.
I'll just read this list quick. So The Haunting of Hill House, Beetlejuice, Gremlins, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, The Bride of Frankenstein, Billie Eilish, more for a scare zone, not a house though. Kind of like Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Terror Queen, Bedtime Stories, Dungeon of Terror.
Yeah. That's the one I was thinking of. So Dungeon of Terror was the first maze that they ever did at Horror Nights. And I think that, if I remember right, it was the one in the Jaws queue?
Oh, okay, and the Captain Jake's.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody on YouTube yell at me. I
remember they did a house there. I remember reading that online.
They did, and
that's kind of cool.
The first year when it was Universal Studios Fright Nights, it wasn't Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah. I want to say that Dungeon of Terror, whatever it was, that was the maze. That there was one maze, was the Dungeon of Terror, and it was a big deal. It was a whole hoopla. I don't remember who did the podcast. I don't remember if it was Scare Zone or somebody, but I have, for some reason, I think Bart Scott was involved. So maybe it was Scare Zone. I don't know. But they did a whole history of it, and they talked about it, and it was a really good episode. If I remember what it is, I'll put it in whatever description is somewhere. Episode 1, no rules. So I really hope they did
Josh, what would be your ideal house? Like, if you could make an original, like create your own little backstory real quick, pick an IP, like an intellectual property thing, and then pick a scare zone. Because I did this on one of those Instagram story things. Okay. And so I've got mine.
All right. Let me think here. So if I had to do an IP, we'll start there because that's easier. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, my favorite IPs, so my favorite monster is Frankenstein. No, Frankenstein's monster. Don't yell at me. And my favorite film is Psycho, but both of those have kind of already been done. There was the Psycho scene in Hollywood when they had the year-round maze, and it was kind of lame. It was just a bunch of mirrors, and there was, at one point, there was like a shower curtain, and there was the knife, and they'd jump out. It was really lame. Maybe an Alfred Hitchcock maze? That would be kind of cool. Something like that. So either something that just maybe takes all of his films and brings them in. So you could go through The Birds, you could go through Rear Window, you could go through Psycho, you could go through, I mean, even some of the stuff that...
attraction like that.
I know, right? They did.
And it was movies.
So cheesy. I actually was just watching, this is how much of a nerd I am. The other night, I went through the 1995, yeah, that DVD. There's a ton of rips of them on YouTube, and I was just, again, for like the 9th time, was watching it, just literally like 3 nights ago.
I have a VHS copy, man.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I love those. I have one of the Disney California Adventure from opening year somewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's bad and cheesy. So maybe an Alfred Hitchcock maze. I think that might be where I think I'm. So like my general like feel is I'm more. How would I say it? Like the Rob Zombie maze, right? Where it's all super heavy metal, fire and stuff. It's cool, but I'm not. That's not my bag. Like that's not my general type of film, right? I'm more of the like slow burn, black and white. Let's story driven, character driven with the big twist reveal type thing.
Sure.
Like Get Out, right? Like Get Out was one of. I love Get Out. I've got a little, I don't know if you can see it here, I'll switch to my camera. So behind me, over there, I have a bunch of pop figures. I'm starting a pop figure collection because I'm a nerd, and one of them is Get Out, where he's in the chair. That, and then you'll dig this, it's the entire Jaws pop collection.
I have that. That's nice.
I'm only missing the one with the shark without the tank in his mouth, because there's two sharks.
Cool.
So I only have the one, I have the shark
sharks.
with the tank. I don't have the
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think Alfred Hitchcock for sure. As far as an original, oh man, I don't know. They kind of did one idea that I had in the past, which was something about a director, which they had the director as an icon, but something about a director making a horror film, but you not realizing that it's actually that like he's doing it for real, but you think you're part of the film, that it's actually you're just part of the crew or something, but it's actually happening. And there's
kind of like a horror version of Tropic Thunder.
Yes, exactly. The horror Tropic Thunder. Maybe something like
he's
that.
He's not really trying to kill us, guys.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then you find out he actually is. Like, it's all fake, but no, it's all real. But that's kind of like the director was kind of a thing-ish, kind of. I mean, not a little bit, not 100% like that, but kind of like that. I don't know. Let me think about it. Pete, go. What you got an IP, Mister? I've seen all the movies. He's frozen. Peter?
He is frozen.
Did we lose Pete?
Did we lose him?
Pete! Oh no!
While we're waiting on Pete, you want to go?
Well, while we're waiting on Pete, why don't you go? What is your? We'll start with your IP, and I'll think about it. I'll think about an original.
Well, my IP was actually I had a scare zone for an IP, and then I had a house for another IP. The scare zone I wanted was Goosebumps, like the world of R.L. Stine, and have Slappy, and have the Haunted Mask, and have different main characters of Goosebumps in an area, and you can have Slappy, the puppet, be like a kind of like a Chucky thing, where he's like the MC of the scare zone, and you have random trick-or-treaters running around, and different characters of the Goosebumps books. And I just figured it'd be so cool to have like that music, the classic Goosebumps music bumping, and having those kids run around. I don't know, that was kind of cool. And then I wanted the house to be Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci, because it'd be so cool to have some kind of horse and the Headless Horseman and heads chopping off, and that kind of thing. And then for an original house, it's so weird that you mentioned like a director thing. I did put the Wacky World of Ed Wood, because I wanted some Ed Wood stuff. Oh,
as a house?
As a house, like Plan 9.
How cool would that be?
But then I was thinking, like, what if you had a thing where it was like what you said, black and white Hollywood, but it's like you're going through like the horrors of Hollywood. It's there's a scene in front of like the Chinese theater. There's a scene of real horrors that happen. Maybe have some stuff with Charlie Manson, the lady who jumped off the Hollywood sign. Things like that, like real Hollywood terrors. I'm sure that would get a lot of flack.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how well that would be received, but it's an interesting idea.
It would definitely be the eye opener. It would never sell.
No,
but I'm a nerd when it comes to Hollywood horror stuff. Like I love watching those old like Hollywood and the place where dreams go to die.
Oh yeah, like a film noir type. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Interesting. So Pete messaged me. So his Wi-Fi just decided to phase out. So unfortunately, Pete is gone for a little bit. So I've switched to this dual camera mode now. For those who are listening, I'm sure it looks much better. Anyway, but yeah. So an original. don't know. Goodness, God, an original idea. I have a few original ideas, but they're like original film ideas, so I'm like, I gotta not use one of those.
Sure. Yeah, you can't share that kind of stuff because you never know.
I don't know. Let's see. I think one that would be really, really cool. Okay, so here's an original idea. So something for Universal to do, something I would love to see Universal do, because Knott's has done this, Knott's Scary Farm, or Knott's Berry Farm, for those who don't know. They do Knott's Scary Farm around Halloween. They're actually the first theme park haunted attraction event, period. You would know more of that if you watch the Epic Home Months documentary. Okay, so what I would do is I'd want them to do a paranormal investigator maze of some sort. So Knott's a couple of years ago I think they still do it every year, but they did a maze called Paranormal Inc. And Paranormal Inc. is by far one of my favorite haunted mazes, haunted attractions ever built. It's fantastic. It's just really, really, really well done. John, who's actually in the movie Epic Home Haunts, was the designer of that maze, and he did such a good job. The basic idea behind the maze is that you are going into an asylum, and it's during a TV paranormal activity group's filming of their show. And so you're the audience and you're there, and they've created some new device they're going to flip on, and it's going to flood the place with X type of energy, and they're going to be able to directly communicate with some spirit. And they flip it on, and dun dun dun, not something goes wrong, and all hell breaks loose. And this room that you're in this opening pre-show is a 2-story room. It's huge. It's got projection effects. And when something goes wrong, the wall busts open, and an actress on a wire comes flying over everybody, screaming at everybody, and goes to the other side of the room, and then 2 different doors open. And so you have 2 ways you can go, and you have to pick one way or the other. And then you have to make your way through the asylum, as now that this energy has been released, all of the ghosts are out. And so
wow.
You're now trying to make your way out. And then at one point it gets really weird. You get sucked into another dimension, and then you have to escape interdimensional monsters, and it gets super bizarre and weird, but I like that kind of stuff. Like there's
cool, man.
There's a movie. What is the movie called? Is it The Void?
Oh yeah.
And it's all about interdimensional weird monster creature things, and I loved it, and it's fantastic.
No, I was just thinking about when you said that. Surprisingly, the X-Files would be a insane house if they ever did that.
The X-Files. Okay, so the X-Files is the only franchise, in my opinion. So when Guardians of the Galaxy took over Tower of Terror at California Adventure, and everyone was like, "Oh no, Marvel's going to take over in Hollywood," and I'm like, "No, they're not, because there's this rights issue, and it's going to be years before that gets resolved."
Right.
In my mind, it was like, if something happened with Tower of Terror, I was like, the only other franchise I would personally be totally okay with changing it out with is X-Files. Like doing some form of X-Files attraction now that Disney owns the X-Files, because they own Fox.
It's true.
That's
my buddy back home, Chris, him and his wife named their child Fox.
Nice.
Yeah, she was watching X-Files a lot when she was pregnant. And so it's like, I know so many people who love X-Files. Twin Peaks has made a comeback.
Oh, yeah.
I recently have been watching Erie, Indiana, the old TV show.
Yeah.
It was a 1-season thing, and I was like, man, they don't make stuff like this anymore. But I was thinking, just when you said your idea, I was like, man, X-Files. Could you imagine X-Files coming to Halloween Horror Nights?
Yeah, no, that would be
really cool.
That would be really amazing, actually. Hang on one second here. I'm helping Pete get back online. Cool. I think his internet's back, so I'm telling him to rejoin our Skype call. All right, so it looks like we might have just lost Pete. Oops. Episode 1, no rules. So we'll figure out these technical problems as we continue. I've actually got more equipment coming if anybody saw the way I've got this set up, it is full of jank, but it works. It's fantastic. So, okay. Where were we? You were talking about, we had mentioned your IP was, what was it? I don't remember.
Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton.
Sleepy Hollow. Yes, that would be super cool. Ah, man, okay.
I think it's kind of lost its, I don't know. It's probably missed its calling as far as a scare zone. They could just do a Headless Horseman.
Now,
house,
are you talking doing Tim Burton specific Sleepy Hollow, or are you talking doing?
I would like to see that one.
Okay.
Just because I liked those characters they had in that story.
Yeah, I agree.
With the Tree of the Dead and that whole thing. It was a very good telling of that classic story. But
well, and you can't go wrong with Christopher Walken with sharp, like pointy, crazy teeth. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they filed those things, man. It's crazy.
And then what was your original again?
The original was kind of like the horrors of Hollywood.
That's right.
Like,
yes,
it was very. I don't know. I think that would be very controversial.
I think it would be incredibly controversial.
It wouldn't get the green light.
I don't think it would get the green light either. Did I ever give? I'm so lost now that with this Pete.
You talked about director.
Talked about the director. Yeah. So I would like to do something like that. Something filmmaking wise would be fun for me. Actually, what would be really cool as an original maze is to start it like Universal did those old attractions, where it's you got into a pre-show and it's all right, everybody, we're going to show you how we make ... and you're going to walk into the movies and we're going to show you how it's all, and do maybe a maze that is one of those old rides, but then that old ride ends up become like the things they're showing you that are fake end up becoming real, and then you become part of the show and have to try to like escape out through the horror effects demonstration or something. I think that would be really cool,
man. Like the art of making movies type thing.
For real, dun dun dun.
That'd be actually incredible, because it would be kind of like a love letter to classic Universal Studios Florida attractions.
It would.
That's how a lot of those attractions were when they first started. It was, I'm your host, we're going to show you how we do this, and yada yada.
Yeah, Universal's gone from the I'm your host, let me show you how whatever disaster movies are made, to now it's franchise the movie in 3D. They've kind of that's where they are now. And now we're going to
go ahead.
I was going to say, now we're going to see, because there's that mandate apparently down from Comcast to use original IP. So now we're going to start seeing a lot of stuff like the Bourne Stunt-tacular. Am I saying that right? Who knows when that's actually going to open now, but we're going to see a lot of stuff like that where it's like, wait, Bourne? That's a thing? We're going to put that, okay. Interesting. Sure.
The clips I could see from the they did a Good Morning America segment on that, and the clips that I saw was like, kind of looks cool. I don't know.
It's interesting. It's like an updated Terminator thing. The thing that I'm a little weirded out by is in that video that they showed where the news anchor was sort of like in the show for a minute. There were a couple of shots where you could see the actor playing Bourne was like on top of a building, and the building is moving like this, and they're supposed to be recreating like a helicopter shot. So the screens are moving like this, and the building's moving around in parallax like it actually would, and you're supposed to. I don't know, that idea is interesting. I don't know how that's going to translate to a theme park attraction.
Right.
Because it's a stage, it's one flat thing. So we're now basically going 3D theater, like 3D live action theater, even though it's already in 3D, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know how any other way to describe that, but it's going to be interesting for sure. But I think, we'll see a lot of that kind of stuff.
I wonder if we'll see something, along the lines of, obviously Bill and Ted was...
I would love Bill and Ted to come back.
Yeah, Bill and Ted was awesome. I think... I don't know. I almost think, like, there needs to be something every year, like a show that's going to fill people. And not that I'm knocking on the show they had this last year with the... I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember the name either.
The Academy of Villains thing. That's just not my cup of tea. I don't really care for that kind of music and stuff. And so sitting in an auditorium and listening to that for, a length amount of time is just not what I would like to do. However, like back when they had Rocky Horror Picture Show, I always went and saw that at least one time every night because it was a sing-along. It was very fun. Yeah.
See, that would be cool. Okay, so if they just did, like, the 30th anniversary became just like a throwback to old Universal stuff. So you had all the icons come back. You have, obviously, like, another, original Universal Monsters maze, something to do with, like, the original attractions, and then you do a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
show. You do another like Beetlejuice Rocks type thing.
Right.
And you just throw back to all this old original stuff. That would be super cool, in my opinion. As long as we don't get a Ghostbusters 2 maze, then I'll be fine. Just, we don't need...
I don't think we have to worry about that.
We don't need that.
I think even Dan Aykroyd would be like, no, the Ghostbusters maze you guys did was great.
Yeah,
and be done with it, because that was his, that's his baby. However, I'm so thankful we did go with the Ghostbusters we did, and they didn't try and hold out for the new film, because the new film's going to be awesome.
Hopefully,
but it's not the Ghostbusters that people know and love.
No,
it's going to be a new telling of it. But another thing too, there's so many horror films that came out, like the new Child's Play.
I never saw that. Was that any good?
I enjoyed it for what it was.
Luke Skywalker as Chucky.
The voice took me a hot second to get used to, and also the actual doll took me a hot second to get used to.
Sure.
It didn't feel like Chucky.
Well, he's not possessed, right? He's just basically an evil internet device.
Someone goes in, this guy basically, spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't seen the Child's Play, you need to see it, but I'm going to spoil it now. This guy goes in and basically takes a chip, and he makes it to where that doll is evil and can do evil things. He can do pretty much anything.
Got it. Okay.
Because he got fired, and so to get back at the company, he does that.
Barf.
And so this doll... And the thing is, you kind of side with Chucky. That's the weird thing. Because there's certain parts where Andy, like, the kid who plays the Andy character goes to his room, he's like, I hate that man. He's his stepdad and stuff. And you're like, Chucky's like, okay, well, I'll fix that. He goes and kills him. And you're like, yeah, go Chucky, because the guy was a bad guy. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
I totally get that. That's like, I just watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, they rewrite the Helter Skelter, the Manson murders, and everything. What happens is what everybody wants to have happened, where they get the kicked out of them.
That dog scene, man,
dude, just that and then the dog goes nuts. What I love, so my wife and I were watching it, right, and our baby's asleep in the other room, so we can't make a ton of noise, and we're like losing our minds at the end of this movie. And then Leonardo DiCaprio freaks out, gets out of the pool, and he goes like running away. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's just gonna run away. But then he comes back and he's wearing the flamethrower, and it was just like,
the heck,
I'm done. This is amazing. Like, this is
same thing with Joker. Like,
amazing. I loved Joker.
Joaquin Phoenix and Joker. And I sided with Joker.
Yeah, for sure. Well, but that's the point. He's an anti-hero, right? Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the writings of a good anti-hero, is that you fully understand why they do what they do. And I think that's one reason why everyone's hoping. So we're getting a little bit away from attractions. We're talking about films. I apologize, guys, but whatever. Deal with it. Episode 1, no rules. I think that's a lot of reason why everybody wants, in Matt Reeves' The Batman, they want Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, because he's such a well-grounded villain. And this upcoming Batman is going to be a super real-world, super gritty, no powers, real, just build it in your garage and go fight crime type thing. And that kind of fits in that world of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. So everyone's kind of really hoping that meshes. I don't think it's going to. I'm super excited for the new Batman movie, because a lot of it's based off the comic The Long Halloween. So a lot of it takes place during Halloween. And for me, just having like Batman and Halloween, like, dude,
I mean,
it's
one of those things. Like, what if they did Halloween Horror Nights did something along the lines with that, because of the partnership with WB?
Yeah.
I don't know what DC, who has the rights with DC and everything, as far as the film goes, or the character Batman, because there's so many variations of Batman. But like, could you imagine like a Joker house?
Oh, dude. Well, I mean, here's where it gets a little weird, is that do you do the Joker while you also have Jack?
Yeah.
Who is kind of like a Joker type character, right?
Or just Arkham Asylum and just do some off the wall.
And Arkham Maze. See, and then here's the other problem, theme park wise, is that Six Flags has the DC characters.
Right.
And so you do get some kind of Joker-esque looking things at Fright Fest. They're not Joker, but they have a couple of clown characters that have that elongated chin and very comic book Joker look.
Have you ever done this character dining at Horror Nights?
Not in Hollywood, because I've only been, not in Florida. I've only been to Florida one time. It's character dining, sort of the equivalent of the RIP thing in Hollywood, correct?
Yes.
Because Florida doesn't have a VIP event. They just have character dining.
They have a character dining, and in their VIP event, you can actually buy the VIP tour of the evening. You get drinks. You get walked on to each attraction. And they do different bar stops, but you get backdoored. I've done it once or twice.
Oh, interesting.
And, and it's cool. You get a group of your friends, and it's really not that bad, like price-wise. I can't remember the price and everything off the top of my head, but like you get a group of friends, and like you go, and it's just you. That's the people you see wearing the smocks. Not smocks, but the nurse outfits.
Okay.
Scrubs.
The scrubs.
The scrubs. And they're usually like holding a light up in the air, like walking around on glow stick. Those are the VIP tours.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, they give you all the houses, the show, and you get like drinks beforehand and like hors d'oeuvres and stuff. But the character dining is a different thing, which the little tip for that, book it early, like get one at like 6 o'clock or ahead. They let you into the park before you go and eat dinner, and you're already in the park. So you basically, when you finish up eating, you walk out, you kind of miss that rush, but it's still early enough to where you can get in line and do things. Your night's not completely over. Also, you're getting to eat all you care to eat food inside the Classic Monsters place. They have alcohol and everything, but it's like, it's really good food, but you get to take photos with all the characters they have. Like, I remember we did it, and we got some really good photos of us from Sam from Trick or Treat. And so you're not having to worry about going to those scare zones and hunt those characters down and get them to stop and get that bad photo.
I didn't realize the IP characters were in character dining. I thought it was just the original characters. Like, I've seen video from like Tim Tracker and stuff where like they did it and Chance came over to the table and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, well, that year we did it with Chance. Michael Myers came over. I have some really good photos of me and the wife with Michael.
Interesting.
And if you stick around too, like be some of the last people there, like the characters, like they just come and hang out at your table.
That is so freaking cool.
Yeah, like,
I have to do that this year.
Really good pictures, some of those guys. And Chance that year was so awesome with us. Like,
well, that was her year, right? That was the year that she hosted.
That was the 25th, I believe. I don't know. 26th. I can't remember.
Something like that.
But yeah, this character dining, it's not bad. It's like $20 or something, or $30.
Oh, really? It's not okay.
Yeah, it's not crazy. Like it's $20 or $30.
Now, here's a question for you. Have you ever done the Horror Nights annual pass?
Yes. I've done the one. I can't remember which one it was.
Because there's so many different levels. I was gonna do one this year. I was gonna do the one that was good in September and October. Excuse me. The one that was good in September and October. I do the annual pass
every year for Horror Nights. For some reason, I thought you were talking about the what's it called, the Express. I've never done it with Express added onto it. My buddy Travis has done it with Express.
That's where I was going to ask. I was going to do September, October without Express because it was like $110 or something, and then you can go every night. And I'm like, what do you? I can go every night. Right. Why do I need Express? And the crazy thing about it was it went from like it jumps. Like the one that's good every single night that includes Express was like $600.
Right.
Or something insane. Like it's just a drastic price increase that doesn't make sense in my opinion.
I'm looking at the passes. Let's see which one. Because I always forget. It's every year too. You would think you would know.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
But every year though I do. My brother comes into town and we do the Express for one night because he's only here for the one night of Horror Nights, and it's totally worth it because we do the Stay and Scream and we'll go in the back, and I'm telling him like, we'll knock all these houses out, then we'll go up to the front, use our express for those houses. Then later we can come back to these houses and you can do them again by using your express.
Got it.
So there's a lot of times like we got to do Ghostbusters twice actually. For some strange reason, something happened. They stopped the line.
Sure.
And I think they emptied it out. And I think a lot of people left. And then they opened it right back up as we walked up. And it was like 15 minutes.
Oh, crazy.
And she was like, don't use your express, just go.
Yeah. So when you get express, you can only use it once.
It's one per house. Yes.
Okay. Because when you do, at least the way it used to be in Hollywood, is when you get, so if you buy express, it's the same way. It's one per house. But if you get the VIP or the RIP experience, you have unlimited express. So when we did that, we were literally just running through mazes over and over and over and over again all night long.
Amazing.
It was amazing. It was a super incredible night, and I have a bunch of footage from that as well. I have a couple of flow through videos of those mazes that I'm going to post. I managed to get a couple of videos that night, even though I was getting yelled at to shut my camera off.
It's the Frequent Fear Pass. I couldn't remember the Frequent Fear Plus Pass.
That's not hard to say at all.
Yeah, I know. That's why I couldn't remember. I knew it was it's Express, Frequent Fear, Plus. I don't know. All that kind of stuff in my head jumbles. It's like $100-something bucks or something. I don't know. It's totally worth it though.
Yeah, and it's absolutely worth it.
Because like the nights you don't like, Halloween night used to be a crazy night to go, and now it's not. It's not. Like, it's not crazy. Because I think a lot of people have Halloween parties.
Sure.
They go to, some people do the traditional trick-or-treating. Some people do stuff at their church. You know, it's Halloween's like that night that people really don't do it. And, like, we've gone on Halloween night for just maybe an hour or two sometimes. And it's cool. Like, it was...
That's the way it was in L.A.
One Halloween we went and saw Halloween, the movie, in theater
that's awesome.
at City Walk. And then we went to Horror Nights right after and did the Halloween house.
That's amazing.
And that was awesome.
That's incredible.
That's a cool Halloween night.
Yeah, that's the way Halloween should be.
Right.
But that's the kind of the way it is in LA. Like, I remember going to Knott's Scary Farm on Halloween, and it's dead. There's nobody there. But LA is a little different. So LA, because of the documentary, here I'll switch to my camera. Because of the documentary, Epic Home Haunts. That's right back there. How do I do this? That's over. No, it's this one. It's over there. There we go. I'll figure it out eventually. Because of that documentary, we've experienced a ton of different home haunts, and LA is full of these home haunted attractions. And we can even talk about that for a little bit. I don't want to keep it too long, but we can talk about that for a little bit because this is Attractions Tube. So LA,
I know only a few things just from my buddy Adam the Woo, who lives out there. Every year he tells me, he's like, dude, haunt season's coming up, and he goes all out.
Well, he did a video with Beware the Dark Realm, who's in our film. Scott Sibley and his family are amazing people. And it was funny because our film came out and I sent Adam a pre-release copy of the film to review. I was like, hey, I know you're into this. We met at Midsummer Scream that previous year. And so I was like, here's the film. I know you're super into this stuff. Love to know what you think. And so I sent him the film. And lo and behold, that Halloween, he's going to some of the home haunts from the movie. And I'm like, I gave you that idea, I bet.
That's awesome, man.
But his flow-throughs were amazing. And it was cool to see what Beware the Dark Realm was doing that year. Because I think my wife and I weren't going to make it down. Yeah, we weren't going to make it down that year because our daughter was about to be born. So we couldn't go anywhere. And we lived in San Francisco at the time. And so it was one of those things of like, we can't make it down to LA. My wife's about to give birth. I'm not going to go drive, the 5 freeway for 6 hours and suddenly in the middle of nowhere. It's like, baby. It's just not going to happen.
That's exactly when it would happen, too.
It's exactly what would happen. But yeah, no, LA in general, home haunting, like, I went last year, and it's just kind of going to be a yearly thing where I'll fly down to LA on Thursday and I fly back Monday, and just all night long, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, are just driving around going to home haunts. And this last year, I was able to do 15 or 16 of them, and that's only scratching the surface. That's barely getting any.
We just
of
don't
them.
have that here in Florida. Like, we have a few. But I think people just don't even try and like compete with Horror Nights
Well, and there's a really interesting community in LA of what are called haunters. These people who build haunted attractions. They're called haunters.
Right.
And there's two really prominent groups. There's SoCal Valley Haunters and there's Cal Haunts. And there are these really in-depth groups of basically makers. They're basically maker groups, but for Halloween. And so that area has so many people that are into this stuff, and they all connect, they all talk to each other. Florida here, when we came out here, we were trying to get involved with the haunt community, and it was like, there's a couple of Facebook pages, but there's not really anybody who's doing anything to the scale that they're doing in LA.
Sure.
I have gone to a couple of home haunts here, and one of them I went to, it was the Asylum. This guy Jeremy Kent puts it on in Winter Garden, and it's amazing. We did a I say like a 20-minute mini documentary on Epic Home Haunts YouTube channel. I did
Screamageddon this past year.
Screamageddon looked intense. I've never done it.
So it's so wild. It's out in near Wesley Chapel, Florida, which is like farms. Like you're driving and you're like, are we going the right way? Because there's no street lights. Like it's very like
Perfect.
Old Florida. And then all of a sudden you see this little sign. It says Screamageddon, turn left. And you pull in this farmhouse and you're parking in grass. Sure. And there's like generated street lights out there, and then you just see this big wall that says Screamageddon and a huge warning sign, and it looks like a big top. And then the way they have it laid out is when you go inside, it's a circle area, and they have fire pits and they have concession stands, and then each of the houses in the mazes are in the corners.
Oh, so interesting.
And so like, after you get done in that maze, you come out and you go straight ahead and you can sit in front of the fire pit and eat something. And they have a beer barn, or a beer garden, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the houses, like, dude, there's this one house where they give you a glow stick, and they pulsate you in all these. They give you a glow stick, and you are walking through the middle of the woods with nothing but that glow stick and rocks on either side of you, keeping your path. It's very Blair Witch style.
Oh, interesting.
There are characters out there. A lot of these people are running through the woods, like yelling at you and stuff and scaring you.
That's crazy. And aren't there some mazes there at Scarageddon? I'm saying that right, Screamageddon, that they can touch you.
Well, they come up to you before you go in. The guy always comes up to you and he goes, "Hey, would you like to do the hands-on experience?" And you can opt in or out. And what they do is they put a little glow stick around your neck, like a glow necklace, and you become a part of the story. So, like, there's this prison house we did. And like you go in, it looks like you're in a jail, and they'll come up to you and put their hand on your shoulder, and they'll like yell at you, and they'll put you in to the jail cell, and they'll close the jailhouse on you.
Oh, okay, and so it's simple stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not anything like I don't know if you've ever seen Haunters, that documentary.
Yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, there's some things there. Okay, look, I'm all about a good jump scare, but I don't want to be put to the limit where I come out sweating.
So I don't know how long you have, but if Pete comes on, we can comes back on. We can chat about this. There is a long and not so great history with McCamey Manor, and particularly ourselves and some other some other documentaries. I need some water. Hang on one second. But yeah, McCamey Manor is something that's just like most of the haunt people, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to mention. They just don't even want to. Now, there are good extreme haunts. So, like what I was mentioning, like haunts that might touch you. So, Freakling Brothers in Las Vegas is a haunt. They have some 18 plus haunts where you have to sign waivers and stuff to get in. And they do things where they have like shock gloves. They will like blindfold you. They'll stick you in rooms. It gets intense. It gets really, really intense. And that's a level of haunt that I don't personally am down for. It's not my thing. A lot of people like it, and that's fine for them. You know, when it gets to that McCamey Manor level, if that's actually real and that's actually happening, that's literal torture. That's not a haunted attraction of any sort. But yeah, home haunting is a super interesting subgenre of like haunted attractions, and they're popping up more and more now, and they're across the country. I'm getting emails probably a couple times a month now of people like, "Can you do a sequel? Do a sequel! Like, why are you guys not doing? We're in Indiana, we're in Ohio, we're in all these other places. We really want you to come out and film here." And I'm kind of like, guys, I'm broke. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have the money to do a sequel. But home haunting is super cool, and I think anybody in there, wherever their communities are, wherever their neighborhoods are, those are like they're the closest I think you can get to like a Route 66 style, roadside attraction that's popped up in your community for Halloween, and most of them are as good or better than the theme parks.
Yeah.
Now they're not going to hit like a Universal level because they don't have that kind of money, but like a Busch Gardens maybe, or like a Knott's. Some of the Knott stuff, Knott's has really stepped up their game recently, but it definitely hits some of those theme park, levels.
It's weird. Like with a lot of this haunts and the mazes and stuff, like I enjoy a good jump scare, but at the same time, I'm more of into the special effects stuff.
Yeah.
They do, like, not trying to spoil anything for Screamageddon, but they had this one house where you're in this church, and a lot of it is pitch dark, but then there's this guy who comes out, he's like a priest, and he holds the Bible up, and then this lady literally starts rising up against the wall.
Oh.
And the way they did it was just like, I was not expecting that.
You can find this stuff in pretty much any community anywhere, and
Right.
I really encourage anybody who might be listening, like, look it up online, find a home haunt, go help them build, right?
You
like
can find a lot of them on Facebook. If you just Facebook like Florida haunted house
Oh,
and
for
stuff,
sure.
a lot of them have their, and a lot of them, there's one that they do here, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it's a haunted trail, Sir Henry's haunted trail, I believe. They're a nonprofit, and like all their proceeds go to like, I think the Wounded Warrior thing, and it's done by a church, but it's like it's a fun haunt.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but like they're nonprofit and stuff, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of cool when you see some of these people who do it like for the good of the community, and they're giving back, and they're not just trying to get your money. I understand trying to make a living with it and stuff, but we don't have a lot of compassions in Florida, so finding something like that where you can kind of, communicate during haunt season is always good to me.
Yeah, your audio is cutting out a little bit. I'm trying to get Pete back on the call here. But yeah, no, I agree. That's anywhere that you can find, because these home haunts, they don't charge. They're free. They take donations. So anywhere like that you can find that's just gonna, better the community by building an attraction and not charge for it is absolutely incredible. And you can find them pretty much anywhere. We moved to Florida, and within 3 weeks, I found a home haunt, and I was there hanging out with the guy, because that's just what we do. That's our people, right? It's like, where are the crazy like Carney style home builders? Like, let me go find these people. We need to hang out with them. We got Pete back. Let's cut to Pete here. There he is.
Oh, I'm back. I'm so sorry, guys. I did not plan on that happening. But yeah, things happen. I think everyone and their mother is on Wi-Fi. Everyone's on Zoom in my entire apartment complex. So
everyone's home, man, quarantine.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but I'm back.
You're back. We've got 2 more minutes for this podcast, and Pete's back. So we were talking about real quick. We were talking about home haunts, and saying that this Halloween, definitely we should get some groups together and go check out some haunts here in the local Florida area. And if possible, it's definitely worth the trip to LA to get out and do a home haunt session. I was saying, we were talking about this last year. I went for 4 days and was able to do, I think it was 15 or 16 home haunts.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's super fun. And they're all free. They're all just donation, freeware, that kind of stuff. So freeware? Donation where? I don't know. I'm talking software terms
freeware.
Now. It's all just donation. They donate, all the money to some form of charity usually, or some will take to cover some of their costs from that year and then donate. But it's fantastic. So Pete, real quick, let's end with what would your IP be for Halloween Horror Nights?
Well, Saw, but they've already done it. But it's my favorite franchise. Really excited about the remake with Chris Rock too.
It's not a remake. It's an extension. It's a continuation.
So I'm excited about that.
Scare Zone.
Scare Zone. Yeah, what would Scare Zone be?
I said Goosebumps.
That would be a cool one. That would be a really cool one. Man, I mean, they would never do it, but it's way too soon. But like, I would like love a COVID one, like just, like, it would actually scare me. Like
awful, just people coughing. That's it. It's the whole maze.
And you know, it's the worst. Like, I know people affected by it too, and like they would get a laugh out of that. But
oh no,
yeah, maybe in a few years.
There's just nobody in the scare zone because they're all quarantined, staying at home.
It's just the entire 2020. Like, you start walking and the Amazon catches fire around you.
Oh no!
And then, Australia catches fire, and then you just end like running through a COVID like hospital that's overcrowded.
Oh no!
Man.
Oh, that's awful.
Sorry.
No, hey, my idea wouldn't get green lighted either, man. I said the actual haunts of Hollywood, like actual murders and different things that have happened in Hollywood, that wouldn't get a green light.
That would be awesome because like they kind of do that in London. Like when I was in London, like I went on like the Jack the Ripper tours, and like they celebrate that stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of that stuff, have either of you guys ever done Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas?
No, I've never been to Vegas.
You've never been to Vegas?
Wow.
Never been to Vegas.
What?
Wow,
and I'm a
fun.
huge Elvis fan. Like, I'm a huge Elvis guy.
What?
Yeah.
And I've never been to Vegas.
Okay.
Gotta go to
so
Vegas.
I know we've only met
Have
twice.
you been to Graceland?
Oh, many times.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say.
I
I'm from
know.
Mississippi, so I went to his birthplace a lot.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
went there once as a kid. My dad's a huge Elvis person.
Yeah.
And then I found out my Spanish teacher was too because I brought her back something from Graceland, and I was her favorite student for the next 3 years. I took her like she loved me so much.
That's awesome. Now I was gonna say. Sorry, hang on. Texting my wife that we're wrapping up. I was gonna say, I know we've only met twice, and for those 2 times, it was about, I don't know, maybe a total of 6 minutes in person.
Maybe.
But yeah,
Magical, though.
no, if you ever want to go to Vegas, let me know, and we'll make an attractions trip to Vegas. I lived in LA for my entire life, basically, so Vegas was always that, like, you want to go to Vegas? Okay. Like, there were times where literally at like 9 o'clock at night, we were like, do you want to drive to Vegas? We're like, okay,
Nice.
let's go. It's
How
3
long of a
hours.
drive was that for you?
It's about 3 hours.
Yeah, it's
See,
like
that's how far it was from Memphis to me in New Orleans. So I used to go to New Orleans.
Well, I caveat
Atlantic
this.
City for me. From Long Island, we go to Atlantic City.
It was 3 hours if you drove real fast. Otherwise, it's about 4.
it's like the 3 hours from Long Island. You got to go like 95 the whole way.
Yeah. But no, Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. If I could speak, we'd be in much better shape. They actually make you sign a waiver because it's legit things that they've, taken from their Ghost Adventure tours. It's basically like, if you've ever seen the Conjuring films, it's the Warrens' like closet where they keep all their stuff. It's that, but an entire building, and it's open to the public.
Wow.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that they will make you sign waivers where it's like, look, this thing has been used in rituals and it's said to have done this and this and this. It's under 24-hour surveillance. We don't let anybody touch it. They make you sign stuff that says, like, if you have experiences at home after coming through here, you cannot sue us. You can't. It's that level of crazy.
Wow.
We went, and we actually went while my wife was pregnant because we're weird. But my wife, there were some rooms where my wife was like, I will not go in there.
Yeah, I get it.
And
Good idea.
while me and my buddy who went with us, my buddy Wade from Australia, we're just like, let's go. Come on, everybody. Like, we're just totally whatever about it. But that is a room. You're speaking of the real murders and stuff. There's a couple of things in there that are actual murders. Like, they have I can't remember the doctor who would help the assisted suicide stuff in his van. They have the van there.
Wow.
They have all kinds of stuff that's like, oh, that's a little real at this point.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to see how your idea actually plays out,
Yeah.
there's a place you can go. It's in Vegas. Cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 1. No rules. I think we've experienced the gamut of problems with this
Hey, man.
episode.
You did great for your first episode.
Hey, we barreled through.
Yeah.
It'll
But
be
it's-
funny when we look back.
It will.
Yeah,
It will. So thank you, Pete and Micah, for joining. I'm looking at my screen at your faces, and I'm not looking at the camera. So, like, it's the whole thing. I got to figure it out. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. It was
Thanks for having me,
fantastic
man.
having you guys here. You're welcome. You guys need to come on more. I think Pete's going to be a semi-regular, if not every single time. guy on this show. And we'll try to get Micah back as much as possible.
Cool, man.
We'll start our own little like WDW Today crew. But with any attraction anywhere in the world, because that's the point. It's Attractions Tube, or it's Attractions Cast by Attractions Tube. We'll figure out the title as well. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're actually listening to it on some form of podcast feed, whether on like iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher or Google Podcasts or wherever it is, make sure you subscribe. I don't know when it's actually going to be available on those platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching it potentially on Wednesday, 2 days after we're recording, because that's when it's coming out there. We have to record this episode and get approved by those other platforms. So who knows when that's going to happen. Thank you guys again for joining. I'm Josh Quillin for Attractions Tube. You guys can check us out at Attractions Tube. Everything. Check out World of Micah. It's World of Micah everything. Check out Pete. He's official Carney on Instagram and Twitter, and then Adventures by Carney on YouTube. He changed it up. He didn't make it everything.
Couldn't do it. But maybe one day.
One day he'll just change the name of his channel.
If I make it Big Pop, maybe.
All right. So
thanks, Josh.
thank you, everybody.
See you later, Micah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Bye, man.
See you later.